They didn't think we'd make it this far. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Stache Club Wrestling Podcast, episode number 5. Today, as you might see visually, hearing it might not sound, maybe it sounds a little different, but we have a little bit different of a setup today. Me and John are recording this podcast, not together, remotely today.
I'm sick.
Things happen. John's sick.
I'm sick.
John's sick. So
I'm recording it
we're
in
working
bed.
with what we got. John's a trooper, and he has Jimmy Garoppolo as his background on Zoom too for all the people watching at home. We're gonna make this as great of an episode as we can with the circumstances. And today we're gonna do something a little different as well. Before we introduce ourselves, we're gonna be talking about some end of the year stuff. End of 2022, 2023 is a few weeks away. We kind of wanted to break down the best, the worst, our thoughts, opinion on the year of 2022, and just kind of talk about some of the highlights of the year. But before we get going, I'll introduce myself. My name is Dante Toro. Follow me on Twitter, Dante on Deck, Dante Toro everywhere else. John.
My name is John. You can follow me at Raspy Taylor and all that stuff. And if you don't believe me that I'm sick, I think everyone can hear it in my voice. So don't worry. But
John is not a liar.
I think this is the first annual, dare I say, what do we call it? We didn't think of a name. Stache Club Awards.
The Stache Club Awards, the SCAs.
The SCAs. Well, I hope that's not something bad.
Well, people, we don't know. We don't know any better.
Welcome to the first annual SCAs. We're gonna run down and give out a bunch of awards for things like Wrestler of the Year and Match of the Year and da.
Before we do get started, John, I do think we should talk about one thing that fans definitely are going to want us to cover.
Go ahead.
So, prior to this recording, usually we record on Thursdays too, so we're a day ahead of some stuff as well. So that's also why we're not talking about some events, because we didn't really get to everything this week. But one part of news that did come out this week is that apparently Vince McMahon is going to attempt to make a comeback in the WWE. There's reports of all these allegations saying, he got some bad advice, people telling him to step down when he really didn't have to. He could have, everything would have gotten, forgotten about, pushed to the side. And that sounds as scummy it sounds scummy because Vince McMahon is a scumbag. So we're not really going to dive too deep into this. We're just kind of going to give our thoughts here because we know people want our thoughts. My opinion, John, is I don't give two shits about Vince McMahon. I don't want him anywhere near the WWE. It's fine the way it is. And if he comes in, I think it would, drastically would change going back to the way it was, which was borderline unwatchable for a while. And I also believe no one in WWE. I did see a report that higher ups in WWE want no part of him, which, true or not, I believe that. So, I mean, there's not really much to say then. No, the old man should stay retired and should probably focus on his million lawsuits that have come his way and probably will continue to come his way.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. And I think most of the wrestling community is also on the same page, except for a small sum, which is why I don't think we're going to spend too much time on it. But yeah, I think we're on the same page of we don't want Vince McMahon back. Fuck him. It's over. It's a wrap. Don't come back. There's not. I know some people are like, oh, I want to hear your thoughts on it and
that's really it.
I don't want to see him back. That's about it. I hope he doesn't come back. Triple H has done a good enough job. He's done a great job. I would even dare to say. So I don't know. I'm ready to move on. It's not.
Yeah.
I wish. I don't even want to say I wish we had more to say. There isn't much more to say. So it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, out with the old, in with the new, and I think WWE is in great hands with Triple H. So keep it the way it is.
I think it would be a pretty poor decision to elect to bring him back, just for a multitude of obvious reasons that SCW does not support or condone. So
1000%. All right, I think that kind of covers our thoughts. And one thing I do want to add before we get going with the list, I forgot to mention this. The people watching, I do have 76ers and Lakers stuff behind me. People are probably very confused. Why? Because I'm a Boston guy. Well, for ClutchPoints, we do this YouTube series called the Flex League Fantasy Football. Each week, if you lose, you're on a loser wheel. You can do a punishment. I lost 1 week, and my punishment for the rest of the year is to have these posters hanging up in my room. So if anyone's wondering, I am not a Lakers Sixers fan. I am just a fantasy football loser. That's all it is.
Those are pretty sweet punishments, though. You get like a dope vintage poster.
I didn't have to pay for them, so
Yeah, that's
I
what I
mean, it
mean.
is
That's
what it
actually a
is.
pretty
It
good
is what
deal.
it is. So
Wow.
it's a good punishment. It's like, teams I hate, but
We
it's
have
harmless.
we have
So
the craziest backgrounds for a wrestling award show.
don't we? Yeah, we
This
have
is
teams
so
that we're not fans
stupid.
of, and the most handsome quarterback in the NFL.
Damn right.
Okay, so let's get started. I'd say we start with the bottom up. Like, we're not going to start with like match of the year, wrestlers of the year, stuff like that. So I want to start, John, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Let's start with our least favorite moment of the
Okay,
year.
pop off.
Let's start off a little bad here, a little sour. So I actually have two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not exact moments, but more so situations. So the first one I have is WWE fumbling the bag with Sasha and Naomi. Obviously, that's a pre-Triple H issue. Triple H has tried or is trying to bring them back. Who knows what's going to happen there? But just the fact that WWE let two of the most talented, if not the two most talented, female wrestlers on their roster walk away, or fire them or release them, whatever it may be. Especially Sasha Banks. I mean, she is a star. I mean, she's gonna go down as one of the best female wrestlers of this generation. And it's gonna suck that WWE is gonna lose a name like her. So I'm gonna go with that. And the other one I have is the entire build up to Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Like, overall, the match, like the ending of it, combining the belts, sure, it is what it is. But the whole Brock Lesnar winning the Rumble, or losing the belt early in the night, winning the Rumble, which was so predictable, and then going into the Elimination Chamber and winning the belt, and then combining the two, it didn't. They did too much. I think they could have kept it so much simpler than it was. And it was just a very predictable build up to the event. Again, like, the match was what it was. They did what they had to do, but the build up, not for me. Not for me.
You're really good at looking at the camera while you talk. That's crazy.
Am I doing a good job at that? I'm trying
You're
to be
really good
mindful
at
of
that.
it.
That's
I'm
crazy.
I this is what I usually have to do when I film. So
Good
I
for
try to
you.
get used to it. But all right, John, what's your least favorite?
I have a list of a couple that I want to choose from. I'll start with what I think wins the award. Or you know what? Here's what we'll do. Here are the nominees
Oh, okay.
for
Okay,
least
I like
favorite
it.
moment.
Yep.
I'm not gonna do this for all of them. I don't have a list. Just like for whatever reason, this is the
Yeah,
list. The nominees
let's
for
do
least
it.
favorite moment. Vince McMahon getting in the ring to square up with Pat McAfee at WrestleMania.
Good one.
The handling of Austin Theory's Money in the Bank win and cash
Good
in.
one. Mm-hmm.
Ronda and Brock winning the Rumble. Nyla Rose stealing the TBS title and that whole storyline.
Mm-hmm.
AEW ending the casino fucking whatever it was, the ladder match with the casino chip thing.
Mm-hmm.
With the mask. I mean, it ended up being MJF and everything ended up cool, but like the whole mask thing, I remember at the time that wasn't too hot.
Yep.
And then Sammy Guevara and Ty Conte, or Ty Mello, whatever you want to say. Their whole just storyline, and Sammy Guevara facing Scorpio Sky and all of that stuff. And the winner of least favorite moment, and who gets my Stache Club Awards trophy or whatever,
Drum roll,
I'm gonna
please.
go with. I think I'm gonna go with Theory's Money in the Bank handling is my least
Good
favorite
one.
moment. I was
Mm-hmm.
Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti were close. I really didn't like that, but I think that was it was peak end of Vince McMahon era where everything was just real bad. Won the Money in the Bank, which I guess it's less of. I mean, I'm also just a notable not Austin Theory fan, but taking myself out of it, more just like the handling of it. They ended up just kind of like, no pun intended, tapping out of it, and just doing the cash in on the US title and then him losing, and it was just they hit a hard reset, which I get it. But like they should kind of a glaring fumble. A glaring fumble that I think deserves the Stash Club award for it. Uh-oh, you froze up a little bit. You still there? Classic Zoom, folks. Classic Zoom. While Dante is taking a break, maybe I'm frozen. Maybe I'm frozen on my end. He's frozen on his end. Oh no. All right. Well, I guess I can talk more until he comes back. So, Brock and Ronda. I mean, a lot of this stuff, like looking back, is like to start out the year was like the WrestleMania is like I have a bad memory. You guys know I lose all the quizzes, but we got all last year's WrestleMania in April. Even like thinking back to the Rumble, Ronda and Brock. I wasn't too upset. I don't think at the time. Maybe I don't really remember, but just looking back on it and like where they came from and what ended up happening, it's like the Rumble. I always like to have a young new guy come in. Um, Ronda and Brock kind of taking it from like someone who would have been like cooler to win, and like they're gonna be in the main event anyway, or they're gonna have a prominent spot in WrestleMania anyway. It's just another case of like, they didn't need it. Why did they win? Oh, Dante left. Sick. Uh, this is crazy. This is a crazy episode. Okay. Well, we're gonna keep rolling here, folks, unless I get a text from him or something. Uh, well, we can go into our next award, uh, which is underrated wrestler of the year. Hey, Dante's back.
Well, okay. I'm glad that the recording didn't end.
No, you are good. I've been recording. I've been
Beautiful.
riffing. Don't
All
worry.
right, do it. All
I've
right,
been
I'm glad
going.
we can. I'm glad we can keep it going like this. All right.
We just
So
I
theory
just
is what was what I last heard.
I already went through. I already went through my whole thing. But we are moving on to underrated wrestler of the year, and I was just kind of getting started with that. I can take lead. Glad to have you back.
Please. Thank
Um,
you, everybody.
we got for mine. Underrated might not be the word for it. I think underrated in terms of what the company sees in them and where they've gone since. I'm going Hook is
Ooh,
my
okay.
underrated wrestler of the year. I think he had a really, really fun run, like teaming up with Action Bronson, and he won the FTW title, and he had like his breakout like matches where everyone was like, "Whoa!" And then all of a sudden, I think he had a match like recently, defending the title, but like he's just cooled off, and I don't think that's to any fault of him or even the fans. It's just all of a sudden, I think AEW just stopped, and I don't know why because he was the hottest thing.
I agree.
Um, I think
You
they
even
needed.
said when you went live and he was at the show, didn't they go
I
crazy
saw
for him?
him. I saw him win the title live,
Yeah, you
and they
saw him win the
went. People
title.
went
Yep.
nuts. People went bonkers. No, he was on top of the world, and I think they needed, unless there's something internally. Maybe he's not ready. I don't know. He seemed ready. Um, but I think the next move was moving him off Rampage. I think that was kind of holding him back, and that just never happened. He basically stopped after the match with Action Bronson, and then you know
Yeah.
what happened. So that is my underrated wrestler of the year.
That's a great pick. That's a
Thank you.
great pick, John. But I think you're gonna really like my pick.
Okay. Ooh.
The pick,
Okay.
because
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think you're gonna like my pick. So I was at first I had Sami Zayn in my head, but I that was more the beginning of the year. I think now he's very much like getting the flowers that he deserves and stuff. So I don't think he's underrated anymore. I'm going Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm saying Shinsuke
Oh,
Nakamura because he is so fucking good, and WWE just doesn't use him. Even with Triple H being back, he might be hurt. Maybe maybe there's some stuff going on that like we just don't know about. Maybe he is injured. But as far as just talent to the ratio of talent to being used on television,
let's
I
go.
don't. He's someone that you could pair with almost anybody, and you can make a great story with him. He's a phenomenal face. People love him. The whole entrance, the moves, everything. Great heel. You could love to hate the guy. I think he has a great heel character. WWE just doesn't use him. Maybe it's because I'm not saying hopefully because I'm happy he's injured, but hopefully it's because he's injured. Like there's a good reason why. Because if he's just floating around, they have nothing for him. That doesn't really make sense to me. So Shinsuke is my pick.
Dante, I love that pick. I really do.
Thank
And
you.
I think
Thank you very much.
even to the point, I think that's um to speak on how underrated he is. I didn't even think of him. He wasn't even on my mind.
Exactly.
And that's a
Exactly.
crazy
Mhm.
thing in 2022, one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I've heard like, not to say he's past his prime, but there are some people saying like, oh, like New Japan and NXT was like prime Shinsuke. Now he just kind of wants to have his like easy contract and he wants to hang out and surf. But like, who knows? No one knows what he wants for his career but him.
Right.
Um, I if that's true and legitimate, and he just wants to take it easy, and he's kind of like semi slowly retiring or whatever you want to call it. fine, more power to him. But like, if he's still like, oh, I'm ready to go, put me out there, like you like use him.
Right. 100%.
It's a really great pick. I want to do a
Thank
runner
you.
up, which I don't think again, underrated term used loosely.
Hmm.
Uh, I wish Rey Mysterio had a better spot. He
There you
just was
go.
feuding with Dominic, and now he's the feud with Dexter seems like it could be, or not Dexter, Karrion Cross seems
Karrion
like it could be
Cross. Yep.
something. Um, let's get my man one more veteran run with a title here.
I
So,
agree. Yeah, he had the match with Gunther not too long ago, the
and
Intercontinental
that was
belt. So I
great.
mean, he's floating around the mid card. I mean, I think WWE, and this is kind of just like foreshadowing. But WWE definitely is going to be doing a draft at some
That's what
point
I'm
next
hearing.
year. So, I think that's going to be a big, that's going to be big for a lot of wrestlers, kind of giving them some direction, fresh storylines, fresh opponents. So maybe that'll be the spark of that run.
And it's been like this for a little bit, but we feel like we're getting into even more of an era where SmackDown and Raw are different.
Hmm.
Which I hope that
Hmm.
the trend continues because there is still a lot of crossover, especially with Roman being
I
the
think the
double
biggest reason
champion.
is because Roman's the double champ. I think
Right.
if once that gets settled, you're gonna see two very different like brands. It's gonna be like a Raw versus SmackDown feel, like
I
it
hope
was
so.
years ago.
I
Because
really hope
I
so.
think that's what fans like the most. And also, like we're also kind of getting away from it, but just going to the point. It's it also comes down to money in the business. Like Fox and USA are very competitive in that sense. Like in
Yeah.
past years when they do drafts and stuff, like literally like Fox was like, we want Bray Wyatt on our channel. We want Roman Reigns. Like they take that stuff very seriously. So it'll be cool to see how that works out. But we're not there yet. Let's stick to 2022. I think the next one that I want to talk about, John, is our event of the year. So our
Huge.
pay-per-view of the year, which pay-per-view we enjoyed the most. And I'm going to start. I am going to go with WrestleMania Night 1. So I was floating around a few different events. I was thinking Clash of the Castle. I was thinking like AEW All Out Revolution. I was thinking SummerSlam even. I thought that was a great show, but I'm going WrestleMania Night 1 because the return of Cody Rhodes, which was a phenomenal moment. I think it was so cool seeing like the son of a legend, leaving years ago or getting released, finding his way, coming back home to chase after the belt that he never won. Great presentation, even better match with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins did a phenomenal job carrying that. Also, I want to point out Seth Rollins did a fantastic job at carrying that feud by himself because Cody Rhodes didn't show up till WrestleMania. So props to Seth Rollins. You had Bianca, Becky, their rematch, which was tore the house down. Might have been the best match of the night. Usos defended their belt. Shinsuke, Rick Boogs.
I
Shout out
was
Rick
gonna
Boogs.
say, what do you
Hopefully
mean Shinsuke's underrated? He was teaming with Rick
he
Boogs.
he was with Rick Boogs, and then Rick Boogs like tore his ACL, and that kind of ruined that whole thing. So shout out Rick Boogs. Hopefully you come back soon. And then they also had, I think it was Charlotte Ronda, which was, but then you also had Stone Cold returning to face Kevin Owens. And I get it. It wasn't like the 5-star match. It wasn't supposed to be a 5-star match. Steve Austin ain't even that type of wrestler in the first place. But just the whole build up, the whole Kevin Owens like not having a match, having the show with Steve Austin, and they just do no holds barred. Steve Austin took bumps, like he literally took a suplex on the concrete, like he was taking it. It was so much fun. It was just a very cool thing. Vince McMahon at the end, I think. Did Vince McMahon? Oh no, actually, I think that was the next night. So actually, never mind. But it's just a really feel good moment. Just a guy that no one thought would be in a ring again had a really good match for what it was. So I'm gonna go WrestleMania Night 1.
You also saw the Logan Paul debut with the Miz.
That's also correct, John. Thank you for bringing that up. And Logan Paul debuted, and I thought it was a phenomenal debut. So that just added to it. Yes.
Match of the night: Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin.
Oh my God, I raving about that match. Can't believe it didn't get 5 stars.
Now, I like that pick. I like
Mm-hmm.
that pick. I don't want you to think I don't like that pick. That'd be
Oh no,
blasphemous.
I think I believe you that you like the pick.
But my pick for event of the year, I'm going AEW Full Gear 2022.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
event. MJF beat Moxley for the title. We had Tony Storm
Wow.
and Jamie Hayter. We had the
Mm-hmm.
Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory. You had the ROH 4-way with Jericho, Claudio, Danielson, Guevara. skipping Jade Cargill and Nyla Rose. You had Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus in the steel cage match. Saraya came back regardless of how
That's
the
a
match quality
that's a
was.
great pick, John.
And then you
Great
got Sting
pick.
and Darby putting on a burner of a match for no reason with Jeff Jarrett and Petey Lethal.
That's a great pick. That's a great
Thank
pick,
you.
John.
Thank you. I
Very
think
recent, but I think that was AEW's best event of the year for them for their side at least.
I
And
think so
that
too.
was a great pay-per-view to close out the year for both ends.
Mm-hmm. No, I think so too. And like I think also like Clash of the Castle was up there, even for the sake of like
I
everyone thought it was gonna be like and then everyone came out of it like, oh, that was like
Yeah.
good.
I was thinking Clash of the Castle is my second simply because of where it was and how on fire that crowd was the
Mm-hmm.
entire time. Because it was like their first pay-per-view in what 20, 30 years or something. Like that
Is that
crowd
right?
was
That's crazy.
electric. It was something along, it was definitely a long time, but like the crowd was on fire. I thought the ending, the Drew Roman match, everyone thought Drew was gonna win. Say what you want about the whole like the actual ending, but like I thought it was very
Mm-hmm.
it added to the bloodline story and it was what they needed. So I thought that was a cool event. Good runner up. Good runner up.
All right, take us into this next category.
Take us into the next one. Okay, so we just did event. Let's do shocking moment of the year, John, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Okay.
Do you want to start with this one?
Sure. I got let's see. Um I'm between two, but I
Okay.
think it would be I'll give you my runner up. I think this one we need to mention. I think the craziest and most shocking moment in wrestling this year was CM Punk. Everything about it. Did he correct?
Oh yeah,
Did he
yeah, that's a good
return
one.
in 2022?
No, that was last year.
Okay,
That was
okay.
2021.
Regardless, him coming off he had won the title in
Yeah.
2022, and then just I think the whole arc of CM Punk in the new year, and then it ending with the media scrum, and then just him just putting his own foot in his
Mhm.
mouth and causing this whole thing and the backstage thing in the fight that led to the elite getting suspended. Very much a real life and not really like a wrestling storyline shocking moment, but regardless, um yeah, who would have predicted at the beginning of the year when CM Punk was at the top of the world that we would be closing 2022 out with CM Punk not with a company and potentially no companies wanting anything to do with him and him. I'm not going to go as far as to say ruin his legacy, but really putting a little stain on what could have been one of the greatest returns and one of the greatest return runs, I think, in wrestling history.
I like that. I like that. Okay. I see. I didn't think of that. So that I think that's a very good pick, and I may have gone with that if I hadn't already decided, because I truly do think this is the shocking moment of the year. And again, I'm not going to dive too deep into the reasoning behind it, but Vince McMahon stepping down and
Yep, I
retiring.
had that.
I mean, our entire life, Vince McMahon was the guy leading the charge for the last however long, since the 90s, 80s. It's been Vince McMahon. It's been the Vince McMahon show. So just the fact that he just retired, I'm speaking for myself, but maybe for a good amount of other people too. I always thought that guy would die in the role that he
100%.
had. I thought that guy literally would go down with the ship. Like he's not letting go of the WWE, and obviously the circumstances led to him doing that. But yeah, just still the whole situation shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed the course of WWE. I mean, what like impact wise, that made a very lasting impact in WWE short and long term. So that's my pick for sure.
Yeah, no, I think arguably, especially, I mean, it's funny that we both chose like outside the ring things, but arguably two of the
Sure.
most shocking one. I can't think of anything more shocking. I had two runner ups. I had
Mm-hmm.
for me, I had Logan Paul's performance against Roman Reigns. Blew my
Good
mind.
one.
And then I had Brock Lesnar taking out the bulldozer.
That's a good one. I think another honorable mention too would have been recently, but still is MJF turning on William Regal after everything. after William. Like
Yeah,
I'm
what?
not the shocking moment isn't even William Regal turning on John Moxley, but the MJF turning on William Regal
Yeah.
a
I'd
few
say you
nights
could lump
after, a week after.
I'd say you
That
could
was
lump the whole thing.
pretty crazy. Yeah, sure. Just the whole situation. You can say William Regal coming in and leaving after a short amount of time too. Also, that's something we can briefly mention. William Regal's contract with WWE starts beginning of January 2023, and he's going to be like the vice president. He's like has a vice president role. So
Really? I didn't
Triple
know
H is
that.
hooking him up. Oh yeah, Triple H hooked him up
That's crazy.
for
Good for
sure.
Regal.
Yeah,
Wow.
and William Regal, I think you may have mentioned this. His kid is
Yep.
training with WWE, I believe. So makes sense. Okay, so hard cut. Again, guys, sorry. This is hopefully a one-time thing. We're dealing with Zoom 40-minute meeting times, so we're cutting through audio and stuff. So just talk about
Or
shock
if you
moment of
guys
the year.
like
Let's
this,
jump into
or
yeah, subscribe
if you
for
guys
more.
if you guys like
No,
this could just be how we do it.
yeah.
Like the
Hopefully you
shitty
guys don't
version.
like this because I prefer not to.
Yeah, so go
Well,
go
you can
ahead.
get it. All right. Anyways, so I think so. We just did event shocking. Let's talk about our favorite moment of the year, John. So the favorite thing
Okay.
that happened in wrestling this year for us. So
Okay.
I have one main one, and I have an honorable mention too. That's kind of just like a funny one that I'm going to start with.
Yep.
The 24/7 championship just subtly getting thrown into the
Oh,
garbage on a random episode of Monday Night Raw. Yes, I think it was
good
about
pick.
fucking time that thing got sent off. It kind of reminded me of now that I think about it. Do you remember the Spirit Squad?
Yeah.
The cheerleader group, Dolph Ziggler
Yeah.
was in it.
Yeah.
They feuded with DX, and they like sent them they put them in a like a bin, and they shipped them to FCW, which was like their developmental it was, but they just got released essentially. So it kind of just felt like they were just like same thing, just like subtly throwing it in the trash, never to mention of it again. So shout out to you, Triple H. That was a great move.
That's a fun runner up. I like that.
Thank you. But my actual pick, favorite moment of the year. This is also this. I'm very happy with this moment. This is especially my favorite because I kind of was hoping that this would happen this year, and we've talked about it before on a previous podcast. MJF winning the AEW World Championship. I am so fucking happy that he won the big one. Just from the very beginning of AEW, he has been the staple. He has been the reason why people want to watch the show. Just he attracts such a large audience. He's so good at what he does. He's so fucking good at what he does. And we could go on for hours about how much we enjoy MJF because I know you agree with me as well. But yeah, him winning the big one, the way that it happened, the whole storyline with William Regal and Moxley, everything with, the whole AEW title being thrown around, and you finally bring, consistency to it. You bring just like a hard reset with MJF. And I think it was perfect timing, perfect story, perfect moment. So MJF winning is my favorite moment of the year.
I like that one a lot. I definitely had that. Definitely hard to top. Some runner-ups for me. Speaking of MJF, you could choose any MJF promo from this year, especially when he started getting in the title picture. But a runner-up for me was MJF's promo on Tony when he was just fucking screaming in the camera and just laying in. I think that was great. I think even just the whole bloodline story, and you could say specifically, Sami Zayn coining Usi, or Sammy and Jay finally hugging inside of War Games. I think that's really, really close up there, but neither of them touch what I think was my favorite moment is let me think how I want to present this. In the Hell in a Cell match, where you had a certain Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, and that moment where he slowly takes his jacket off, and you see just his whole pec and shoulder, whatever, just all torn up, and the hush that came over the crowd, everyone like, oh fuck, and his whole performance of wrestling through that, and them leaning on it with like Seth digging in the kendo stick.
Oh, yeah.
That is my favorite moment.
Wow, that's a great moment, because also I think that was one of, if not their only 5-star match. I think it was the first main roster 5-star match in a while. And I think that performance just kind of tells you or shows you all you need to know about Cody Rhodes and how passionate he is for this business and stuff. and just how like much this shit means to him, which is dope.
I don't want to give us our own flowers, but I think we're nailing this.
I think we're doing pretty
I
good.
think we're
I
doing
think we're
pretty
doing
good.
pretty good right now because we're not having like the same answers too. You know what I
I
mean?
thought all our answers were
our
gonna be the
answers are
same.
very respectable. I didn't think we would have a lot of the same answers, and I'm happy that I was right because this makes it a lot better, especially when you're saying ones and I'm saying ones that we never really thought of. So it's
Right,
like,
right.
damn, I don't know why I didn't think of that.
I'm
All
enjoying
right,
this.
so let's jump into tag team of the year, John. You
Huge.
ready to talk some tag teams?
Sure.
Okay, so when I thought of this, there's really only 2 tag teams that came to my mind, and that was
Sure.
the Usos and FTR. I'm
Yep.
ultimately picking the Usos because of just prominence of relativity of just how relative they were all year. Or relative, how no, hold on. How relevant they were all year. Relevant. Sorry, guys. It's the whole Zoom thing. It's throwing me off. Just from start to bottom, from the beginning to the end of the year, they were just on
Start to bottom. What does that mean?
From the start of the year.
From start to bottom.
That threw me off. Okay, hold on. Reset.
Funny.
Reset. They were just every single week on TV, like they were on your screen. They were part of the most important storyline in the WWE. And like I understand, like I think FTR are better wrestlers, like technical wrestlers and stuff like that. But just like, and they had the 3 world championships. I get that. But how I also looked at it is FTR is barely even being used by the company that they're signed by. They were barely on TV this year. You know what I mean? It's like, sure, they had the ROH, the NG, the New Japan, the AAA, but like, no offense, but no one really cared about those belts. Maybe the ROH belts were a little relevant because of the whole AEW buying ROH, but like, I don't know. Like, there wasn't much for me, like, for as like setting aside wrestling and how great of wrestling they are, there wasn't really anything for me to like, say that they were better at the Usos. Storytelling, character work, not as good of wrestlers, but Usos can put on some fucking great matches too. I just think they're the most complete tag team in wrestling. And you can thank Roman Reigns for like, being a part of making the bloodline story relevant. But like also I think about it, Roman Reigns like isn't on TV every week. So it's like the Usos kind of, have to carry it a little bit. And Sami Zayn has done a lot with that too. But the Usos have kind of had to carry, a little bit of the load. So, and for that reason, longest reigning champs, they've been champs the whole year. It's the Usos for me.
I like that pick. I like that you're just agreeing with PWI.
I mean, they got it right. I think they got it right.
I think I have them in second place.
Okay.
Everything in me wants to say Death Triangle.
That's what I thought you were going to say like the Lucha Bros or something like that.
They've eaten too many losses. I think they're, for me, they're like number 3 or 4.
Okay.
To contradict everything you just said, I'm going FTR.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good.
IMO. I think the Usos had a way better 2021 or whenever they were feuding with the New Day and the Street Profits. Like whenever they were putting on just like I think they have yet to top a match like they have had with the Usos, which is like hard to say and arguably
with
not
the New Day.
Fair.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree.
But to your point, like I also agree, like FTR hasn't touched the AEW World Titles this year. They just lost to the Acclaimed, which I'm happy about. Like I think the Acclaimed should keep the titles. I think they needed that win to kind of solidify themselves. It doesn't help FTR's ranking, but yeah, I think just being consistent and being still taking it upon themselves to make sure there's still a name in everyone's mouth, even though AEW might not make it easy for them. I think it's huge. And also, Dax Harwood alone has become like one of my favorite wrestlers.
Love him.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I've seen when I was kind of like doing research and refreshing my memory for this, a couple of top 10 lists I was seeing had Dax Harwood in the top 10 of the year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he was. He had some phenomenal matches this year, even solo against Bryan Danielson a few weeks ago too. 100%.
I think they could easily. I mean, Usos and FTR easily be swapped. But for the sake of it, for the sake of hoping for a better 2023 for FTR in AEW at least, going FTR.
Cool. All right. No, I like that. I like it. I think both teams deserve their flowers for what they've done this year. So both deserve the praise. Okay. So we have three more. We have match of the year, men's wrestler, and women's wrestler of the year. So I say let's talk about our men's wrestler of the year,
Okay.
John. Let's
Right.
start it off with you. What do you got?
Men's
I
wrestler.
feel like this
Good.
might this might be one that we get the same. I don't know. I don't know.
I think. Well, I don't want to say who I think you have because I don't want to like do any spoilers. There is an
Okay.
obvious. There's
Okay.
an obvious one.
I
Um,
believe there is an obvious one as well.
there's an obvious one. However, I'm not picking said obvious one. Um, a runner up for me, obvious, other than the obvious one, which just in case if you mention him, I don't want to mention him and spoil it. Sami Zayn is a runner up for me. I think.
Great pick. Great pick.
I think he's just. I mean, I don't want to say. I'm not going to say carry the bloodline. I'm not. But I think he put a very much needed rocket and a little bit of an
Mhm.
injection of something new. Because like for a while it was good and the promos were still good and they were still dominant. But they needed
They
Sammy
need a
to
little
start.
extra spice. They
They
need extra
needed they
spice.
needed that. They needed that humor. They needed that excitement. They needed that mystery of why is Sammy in this? What's gonna happen? Now they got Kevin Owens. And I think without Sammy, there wouldn't be all these different avenues, especially him and Jay and him and like Jimmy being kind of like on the same side.
Mhm.
However, with all that said, just sneaking by him and the other guy. I'm going John Moxley for Wrestler of
Oh,
the Year
okay. Okay.
2022. I think
I
he's had
like
some
it.
phenomenal matches. He puts his body on the line, and just the fact of going through, um, he's proven he's the guy. Especially with
Yeah.
CM Punk coming in and all that stuff happening, it was just kind of like a look. I know you want CM Punk to be the guy. I'm actually the guy. Um, taking on, getting the belt back after or retaining it or winning it back, whatever it was. When all the CM Punk shit went down, going through the tournament, and then Hangman getting injured, so he had the belt again. I think all of this of where it seemed like he was going to lose it or take a break 2 or 3 times this year, and then just putting AEW on his back and just being like, I'll be the guy, I'll carry this company, because shit's just hitting the fan, and I'm just gonna, I'll do it. I'll put it on my back, and then
Yeah.
now he even lost the title. We all thought he was going to take a vacation. It might be because Renee is in the same company now, so maybe there's less
Mhm.
of an incentive, whatever. But he's still putting on some crazy matches. He's still there every week.
Absolutely. Damn. Damn,
And
John.
before you go on, I think because there is an obvious wrestler of the year who has had the best story and he's put on some great matches, but has he really put on better matches than John Moxley this year?
Yeah. Yeah. See, John, now you make a fucking great point. No, because it's not even like there's like I have my nominees. I'll go through my nominees, but
Sure.
just kind of going off of you because although I don't have him picked, spoiler alert, I do agree with you, John Moxley, because it's just like not even the matches, but just look at like the circumstances of AEW, like everything that goes on and how reliable he was. Like that was the guy that just they fall back on, and he did everything that he could for that company, and he did it nearly perfectly.
And maybe
He
it
puts
was,
guys over. He
I was just gonna say, maybe it was more of a 2021 thing. I don't really remember, but like even like getting sober and losing the weight and
Yeah,
coming back. I forget if
sure.
that was this
The
year or
look.
not, but
It may have been this year, but
not
yeah, just
sure.
like just like a whole new look to him, whole new attitude. Like, yeah, I agree. He's definitely was a candidate. Seth Rollins was a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also had MJF was another big one for
That's a
me,
good one.
but
Jeb Cody
I
in there.
hate to I think Cody is not he's not who I picked. I did think of him because I do think in the short amount of time in the half a year, like
Yeah.
he had the first 5-star match in a while for the main roster, 3 great matches with Seth Rollins, and just like even though he hasn't been around to be able to keep his name relevant and like people care about him, I think that's that says something. But again, I hate to be that guy, John, but I am going Roman Reigns. I
Hey,
am
that's a
going
good
Roman
pick.
Reigns. I just
That
it's
should be the
hard
pick.
to
I get it.
it's hard, like from a wrestling standpoint, you are 1,000% correct. Like John Moxley is the better wrestler than Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns isn't a guy that is going to give you 5-star matches. But as far as big fight feel and importance, he makes a match feel as big as anything. Like
I agree
shame
with
on
that.
WWE. It's not on Roman or Brock when they say like biggest main event in WrestleMania history or something. Like that's fucking stupid. Like that's WWE like giving you expectations and then it doesn't perform to expectations. But like the match he had with Brock at Mania was fine. That was a typical match. WWE just hyped it up, kind of like Edge and Randy Orton when they had the greatest match of all time. Great match, not the greatest match of all time, but people were thinking that, so people kind of downplayed it. His match with Brock, his feud with Brock was fun towards the end with the Cowboy Brock coming back. Like that was fun. His matches with Balor, Riddle, Drew McIntyre, just like little matches that he had here and there. Like obviously he's on the screen all the time, but how prominent he is and how important he feels even when he's not on the show. Like he genuinely, like years ago, people were booing him because his stories were trash and he just wasn't doing it. But now it's like he feels like the guy, and I think WWE has done a phenomenal job at building him up as one of the greatest of this generation, which I think he's going to go down as one because of his run this past year. When will it end? I don't know. But from the start of the year to the end of the year, that guy has been musty, and he has been the talk of wrestling.
Yeah, no, I
And he
agree
has,
with
and we
that.
share the same birthday, So it's like that's really the reason why I decided to go with it. But yeah,
Because you're both,
it's
what
just
is it,
hard for me to not
Geminis?
pick Roman. Gemini season,
Gemini
baby,
season.
6 months from now. Yeah,
No,
so
I
yeah,
like
basic pick, but
all that. I think there's no argument that he's the biggest star in wrestling right now. Like obviously,
mhm.
I mean, AEW is AEW. It's just not going to be as big as like a WWE star. So I think even off star power alone, and having one of the most compelling storylines that people tune in to SmackDown and Raw solely for, um, no, I think that's huge. Like he was my second pick for sure. Um,
Yeah,
it's
hey,
hard. It's
Moxley was a
hard to
phenomenal
argue.
pick.
It's hard to argue against Roman. He's just been on a tear.
Yeah, will he be that? Will that same thing happen next year? Who knows? But
Who
at least
knows?
this year, he gets my the first ever men's wrestler SCA award. But okay, so we did the men's. Let's talk about the women's wrestler of the year now. And for this one, John, really only one person came to my mind when I thought of female wrestler, Bianca Belair.
Good pick.
I mean,
Good pick.
just winning the belt at WrestleMania. I mean, still the champ. I mean, she's what, like 8-9 months now.
Yeah.
Just she's as good as it gets. Holding the belt. She's reliable. She's a great wrestler. She can tell great stories. I'm interested to see where they go now with like the whole WrestleMania season. Alexa Bliss now doing the whole Bray Wyatt turning evil thing again. I just honestly, I couldn't really think of someone that was like a close second, to be honest. You're like, yeah, Becky
Mm,
Lynch, but she was out a lot of the year.
yeah.
Bailey just came back second half. No one from AEW, like Tony Storm came to my mind. Like she did have a great year,
Yep.
but just like for the entirety of it, I think Bianca was, I think she like really not carried the women's division, but like really like led the way. And she did a
Mhm.
great job. So I'm going Bianca.
That's a great pick. I like that pick a lot. I think it's hard to argue against that pick. But I got a little bit of a workhorse pick.
Okay.
I'm going for the 2022 Stash Club Female Women's Wrestler of the Year, Liv Morgan.
Great pick. Great
Mm-hmm.
pick, John. Great pick. Great pick. I
Bro-
like it.
broke out, and granted, like I'm not saying she's at the level of like a wrestler as a Becky or Bianca or whatever, but she stepped up. She beat Ronda Rousey.
Twice.
Let me say that
Twice.
again. Good point. She beat Ronda Rousey twice. First time winning the title, and what a feel good moment that was when she
Mhm.
won the title, and like you could tell all the vignettes too, and it was so real of just like she's so young and how long she's wanted and finally given that opportunity. And you could tell even like wrestling wise and character wise and everything wise, she really stepped up. And I think she was a really strong champion in terms of like showcasing the belt, and you'd see her on red carpets or late night shows or
Mhm.
whatever. Um
she's
And
very marketable, and I don't
100%.
mean that in like a weird way,
I
but
get what
like
you're
she's
saying.
very like brand friendly. Like you can send her off to events and she'll do a
Mhm.
great job promoting the company and stuff like that. Like a really good personality for the like a figure I want to say figurehead because that makes it sound like a really prominent person, but you can trust her going out to events and stuff. Yeah.
A face of the company.
Exactly, John. This is why we do this together.
But yeah, and even like
Face of the company.
even her just kind of like breaking loose, and now she went through that like, oh, I'm extreme, and she was like jumping through tables and shit,
Yeah.
like
No,
flowers to Liv Morgan.
badass pick. Yeah, winning the Money in the Bank, winning the belt,
Yep.
doing like holding her own against like doing what she possibly could against Ronda Rousey. We everyone knows our opinions of Ronda Rousey, so for her to be able to carry that feud as long as she did, flowers,
Mhm.
flowers, absolutely. Okay, so we have our last award, John, our final award, the Stash Club Match of the Year award.
Whoa.
This is a big one.
Whoa.
John, I actually had the hardest time coming up with this one compared to any of the other
I
awards.
think I did too. And I think I eventually just kind of went, all right, I'll give it to this. Like I was like, it was real hard. And I think my brain eventually broke.
And I will say, I did look at like a list for this because there's a
Yep.
lot of matches. There's a lot of wrestling. So, you forget about some matches, right? So I'll start with this, John. This is the match. This isn't my winner, but this was the match that I had like the entire way through. I
Uh-huh.
initially had CM Punk versus MJF in the dog collar match at Revolution. I
Nice.
think from CM Punk coming out to his ROH theme song and just the ROH look, that song literally like was in my top 10 played in Spotify this year because I just became addicted to this song as soon as I heard it again for the first
Speaking of
time.
that, people are going nuts about your gym playlist
I
being
saw
mentioned
that.
again.
Do I mention my gym
Dude,
playlist a lot? Because people
every
act
theme
like it's like
song video, every
I
theme
feel
song video you mentioned.
I'm thinking that I was like, I must mention it a lot. Like I don't really think about it. I
I
just
love
do, I
that people
guess.
like remember. It's like Lord now. Like, oh, I
It's an
mentioned this
old
gym
bit.
playlist.
Hey, if people want it, I have a good amount of
You
wrestling
might have
theme
to
songs
drop
on
it. You
there.
might have to
I might
drop
have
it.
to. All right, well, we'll
Go
we'll
ahead.
see. But anyways, just that the whole like entrance, that feel. Obviously, the feud we didn't do a feud of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah,
That
that's
like
fair.
that, and just to close it out, just the brutality of it, the dog collar. It's like a violent match, and the whole thing with Wardlow. Just MGF, I need my ring. I need my ring. Can't find the ring. And then all of a sudden, CM Punk hits him with the GTS. Wardlow, oh, here's the ring. Puts it on the mat. CM Punk takes it, hits MJF. 1, 2, 3. Great ending to the match. Loved it. But, John, then I
Uh-oh.
started looking into
Uh-oh.
other matches. And this is the match that genuinely, this, like, there are matches that you watch, like someone you don't really know of, that turns you into a fan and it sells you, right?
Okay.
And this match, I have Wheeler Yuta versus John Moxley on an episode of AEW Dynamite, excuse me, in April. This was the
Whoa.
whole Blackpool Combat Club just started. Wheeler Yuta was trying to get in on it, and they weren't letting it happen. Has a match with John Moxley, and it is just a bloody fucking mess. And it is a hard hitting, just as good of a wrestling match as it could possibly get. Technical wise, the storytelling, the blood. Wheeler Yuta did I mean, say what you want about blading and stuff, but he did a good job. He sold it well. And the finish to the match too, just him kicking out of his finish moves, the facial, the emotions on John Moxley's face every time he kicked out. Like, John Moxley is your wrestler of the year. He's
Mhm.
supposed to be like no one can beat this guy, like nearly untouchable, and like he couldn't put Wheeler Yuta away, and you saw one of the most unstoppable guys looking desperate, and it
Wow.
was just, it felt good. I know I'm really getting into this
No,
now
that's a
because like
that's
I
great.
remember watching that live, and then I rewatched it a little bit before the show to like be like, yeah, I have to, yeah, this is definitely it. And then the end, Wheeler Yuta did lose. He kicked out of the shift, and Moxley immediately put him into a chokehold. Felt so legit, knocked out. And at the end, shakes Regal's hand, takes the blood from his face, puts BCC on his chest. That's fucking sick. I didn't know who the fuck Wheeler Yuta was before all of this. And now, dude, everyone knows who Wheeler Yuta is. He's sick. I love him. So for that reason, that is my match of the year, and I'm very proud of myself for picking like a
That's
non-generic,
really good.
Like Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre bullshit. Like, no,
That's
that was
really
my match of the
good.
year.
I
Yes,
wish you
sir.
went.
Thank
I
you.
wish you went second because I like that a lot. And
I didn't
like
mean to. I wanted to set the stage for you, John.
I know. I love that pick because I was in the same boat. And also to preface this, it's just just who we are. It's just we're not too in touch, unfortunately, with like New Japan or
Yes.
ROH. Like we're aware that like FTR and the Briscoes had some amazing matches. Will Ospreay
Mhm.
and Okada had some, like it's
Yes,
it's
yes.
just
We're more, I'd say we're more than casual fans because like we do watch it and like are very in tune with it, but like there's a lot of wrestling guys. And
a
also
lot
like,
of wrestling.
not to say anything, but like, like we, working and stuff like that. It's kind of hard to blend in like to watch like all this WWE AEW stuff as it is, like, and to bring in like New Japan and Ring of Honor and stuff like that's a commitment. I
Um,
want to, but it's a commitment.
but to touch on, I just want to talk about. I mean, like I love that pick, and I think we're in the same boat. Like that also made me a Wheeler Yuta fan, and I think and I'm notably a huge Blackpool Combat Club fan. I loved the idea of it. I'm
Yeah.
I'm curious and nervous where it's going to go now with the Regal stuff. It might disband. I don't know, but that was the first one of like, okay, they already had the veterans. Now here's the young guy, but we gotta beat the
Yep.
shit out of the young guy. I think they even had a thing where like, I think Moxley or Regal or someone said like to join Blackpool Combat Club you have to bleed with us or
Yep.
something
You
like
have to
that.
bleed. Yep. Yep.
And then and Wheeler did it, and then he lost, but it was like you earned the respect, you did it, you're in the club, kid.
Yep.
Almost like
Great moment.
reminiscent of like very different, but like a young Jeff Hardy, of just like
Sure.
him like climbing that ladder and getting that title where
Oh,
it's
with the
like,
Undertaker
yeah,
and
of
then
just
at the end, Undertaker shook his hand and stuff like that.
I
Like
was
you
like,
lost, but
you
like
did it, kid.
you that's right. Good
Um,
comparison. I like that.
but my one of my runner, I wouldn't even call this a runner up, but I was looking at lists and I do remember really liking this match is Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. I
Oh, at
remember
the
loving that
Forbidden
match.
Door.
Yes.
Yep.
Mainly because a big part of it was like, people had expectations with it, and Orange Cassidy is just like he's a great wrestler, but his whole shtick of like the lazy thing, how is that gonna mix with Will Ospreay? And it turned out like they both turned it up to like 100.
Oh yeah.
Not my pick though. My pick is a little. Like I said, I like your picks. It's so left field. Mine's not as left field. I'm going, um, Gunther versus Sheamus at Clash
That's
at
a
the
great
Castle.
pick. Clash of the Castle.
Mm-hmm.
But not that was one of my that was one of the ones I was
Mm-hmm.
considering as well. Yep.
And especially for me, is I definitely lean the fast paced lucha high flying stuff, which
Yeah,
is what I've
this says a
always been
lot. This
into.
says a lot for you.
Rey Mysterio is my favorite. I'm a elite and death triangle defender. Um, and I usually get bored, especially when it's like and this is whatever, but like as if it's like a Braun Strowman versus Omos, or like, I get bored of the slow big guy stuff unless they really do it. And
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, Sheamus and Gunther was it had some slow, brutal parts, but also it had some fast, like hard hitting parts. And
Hmm.
also it showed like that sparked the conversation of one, not only is Gunther like the future and a future champion, he's like here to stay. It
Big
also
time.
it also made everyone give Sheamus his flowers of
Bro.
like,
So well
damn,
deserved.
this
So well
guy.
deserved.
And I'm admittedly have never been the biggest Sheamus fan. He can have some great matches, but like seeing this is like, okay, when he wants to show out and when it's his type of match and when he has the chemistry with a fellow just like brutal guy, he really
Hmm.
got the opportunity to kind of showcase it with Gunther, and yeah, match of the year, just really, really just brutal, hard hitting classic wrestling stuff that is just, yeah, blew my mind.
Yeah. We never talked about it too, but I think when we talk about like wrestlers that kind of had like a resurgence year, I think Sheamus is like near the top of that list because
Uh-huh.
like he's always been like relevant. I mean, he won the WWE championship a few months after debuting, like 10, and he's been in the WWE for like fuck, since like 2009,
That's what I mean.
2010.
He's a
So
veteran.
he's been around for like to be around that long to continue to be like relevant in some way, shape, or form is impressive. But like he has like slowed down over the last few years, and maybe like he's been hurt and stuff, so he hasn't been like around too much. But I think the whole like brawling brutes thing, like that really just like was like what he needed. It was just like a night, kind of like what Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, obviously very different, but like he needed something like an extra like
Mhm.
spark to like get things going. Got it going. And again, like that match with Gunther was great. I mean, if you give him the right opponent, like him and Drew McIntyre, and the few times they fought, burn the house down because it's just another big body
Yeah.
that fights that just like has the same fights out. Like they're stiff. Like they're not like trying to hurt each other, but they're like harder hitting than other wrestlers. You know what I mean? So like you put him with the right opponent, that guy can put on you can put on the match of the night. And I
Mhm.
really hope that we see that match at WrestleMania. I really hope that
Yeah. I hope they run it back.
Sheamus like they bring it back because they've wrestled one-on-one a few times and they could wrestle. It's like one of those feuds where like they can wrestle 10 times, but like the 11th time could be just as good as the first time that they fought. You
I
know what I mean? So
I think they did a tease recently when I think they did like a 6-man tag of like the Brutes versus um Gunther's guys or whatever. And they did a little bit of a tease of like the two of them
Imperium.
again. And
Yeah,
yep.
I'm sure they're gonna keep floating around that. I mean, it's a money feud. People like it.
Yeah.
Why not? So,
But
okay,
does that
that's our
include
SCW award show.
wow. First ever.
Good. I'm glad we really dressed up for the occasion. We have the backgrounds and everything like that. Jimmy Garoppolo, we're glad he could make it.
Dude, I had plans of like being in the studio, like wearing a blazer and everything for this. Like I was like I like had plans and then I got the old Covey.
No Coco. Well,
The old
that's
Coco.
all right. This is the first annual. We're gonna be back next year, so we'll dress up a little better next year. But yeah, so those are our picks. You guys let us know in the
Mm.
comments. Tell us your match of the year, your men and women's wrestler shocking favorite, least favorite moment of the year, tag team, all that good stuff. Let us know what you thought of just your overall thoughts of the wrestling world. Just what happened this past year. Which brand you think was better. Go off in the comments, guys. Debate, have some fun, and be nice. Be nice with
Be
each other.
nice.
Be nice. And also just thank you guys again for the constant continued support of everything that we do, the quizzes, the podcast, everything.
Yeah, we're closing in
Uh
on 20K.
closing in on 20K. And I feel like every single time we mention, like, oh, thanks for the like, thanks for 14K, 15K. It's like the number keeps going up and up, and it's going
Crazy.
up very quickly. All because of you guys. Thank you again. For the people that are new, welcome. For the people that are old and found us again, welcome back. Make sure to let everyone else know that we're back because we're trying to, obviously we have a new channel and stuff, so we're trying to bring back everyone that was here before. So make sure you let everyone know because we're trying to bring everyone back here. We love you guys, and we're gonna see what we can do with what we're working with right now. But I'm glad we got this podcast done, John.
Yeah, no, 100%. This was like honestly like even though it was Zoomer remote, like this was I loved this one. This was great.
It's different. It's fun. It's fun changing it up a little bit.
But well, I think that's it. Again, we appreciate everyone. You can follow me. Oh my god, I'm sick. At Raspy Taylor, whatever. It's I'm not
You're
I don't
fake. You're faking it. You're faking it.
I don't have it in me. You know where to follow me. It'll be on the whatever.
Follow John Raspy Taylor on all platforms. Check him out, Spotify, YouTube, all over the place. And you can follow me on Twitter at Dante on Deck and Dante Toro / Dante Toro 11 everywhere else. Again, thank you guys so much. We appreciate all the support. And yeah, we will see you for episode 6 if we make it that far. People are saying we might not make it there, so we'll
People are
see.
saying also for the sake of it, obviously, but we're gonna be back in full form soon. So just
Yeah. If the schedule is a little light this week, you guys understand, but
yep.
we'll be back to full force soon.
I'll put it on the community and I'll let everyone know of what's going on. Yada yada yada. No Saturday video. At the very least, no Saturday video. So what are you gonna do?
Sorry, guys.
All right.
All right.
Hey.
All right. Oh, John, let's do it. Cool.
Oh, my shit
Right.
fucks up. Whatever. Who cares?
It's okay. All right. Peace out, guys.